And then, so then they would be your representatives from the very beginning, and then you would bring it back to the full concurrence vote once we have that one.
And who gets to interview? You or?
That whole group.
The whole group.
We would invite everyone to be part of it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone could ask questions of the prospective?
Yeah, so typically what we would do is we would ask, and we will do this. We're going to ask the Council on Aging on another agenda because we're not going to interview before your December meeting. So we'll ask you to, or you can just send it to us directly. You can give us feedback, types of questions you hope to be that you'll hope will be asked, what you might be looking for in a new director, like certain attributes. And we also ask the staff those questions. Yeah. And then when we do the interviewing, we always sort of round robin it. Like everyone takes a turn, and you ask the same questions of every candidate. But whoever you choose to represent you would work together with all of us and would be part of everything from looking at all the resumes to looking at the only thing that you need to, whoever is doing it needs to understand that it has to be confidential. So even if someone applies that you know, or it's someone that your friend knows, like you can't really talk about it outside of this group because we want to keep people's anonymity until we're ready to make the appointment. Yes.
Is there any preferential consideration for existing staff? Not just here, maybe anybody who's interested within.
We don't. There's not necessarily no preference.
Can anyone apply, whether they're already employed in the town or outside?
Yeah. Everyone's considered equally. So
that includes staff.
Any staff that applies throughout the town, anyone from the outside would be considered equally based on their qualifications. And
that's okay. Where you posted this? Are you going to use like MCOA and all for?
Yeah. So we always try to. So we post. There's certain places that we post all municipal jobs because people look for municipal jobs there. But then you take sort of, this one is, as you just mentioned, is a senior center position. So we would do MCOA. We might put it out to other organizations that are sort of related to this type of work, just to see if they know anyone.
What was that last acronym you just said?
The Mass Council on Aging.
Oh, I didn't know what it is.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, MCOA.
Do those listings?
I'm sorry. No, you go ahead, Darryl.
Do those listings include requirements?
Yeah, so we do. We always post the job ad, and that always has a link to the full job description. But we pull out like education and experience requirements, certifications, other things that are relevant to that position.
You haven't posted it yet, right?
No.
Okay. But do you have a list of what kind of candidate you're looking for? Other than professional, I guess, qualifications, we're not looking for someone who's like ice cream maker or something, you want something.
Maybe.
Depends how good they are.
Yeah. We have a job description, which I want to talk about also.
Okay.
But other than that, I don't have a list. We haven't asked staff yet, and then you haven't had the opportunity to, but you can just email us things that you might be looking for or questions that you want asked, or you can collect them. Kim is on site, or actually, so they should go directly to Kim or me. So if you want to hand them in, you can hand them in to Kim here. You can put them in an envelope, or you can email me.
The email's okay.
Yes, email's great. Yeah.
Preferred. Okay.
Yeah.
Just one thing, when we do the job ad, for a position, a department head position, we'll typically incorporate some information about the community, about the department, maybe a link to the budget document, because there's a lot of good information, or the annual report, because you're hoping you're attracting candidates who are doing that additional research and want to understand the community and more than just what's in the job description. So we try to frame or give them an idea of that in the job ad as well.
Do you have a goal for putting the posting? Do you want to do it by end of November, end of December?
So I think we would like to do it by the end of November. We want to make some changes to the job description, and that's what I wanted to talk about next. So all of the job descriptions are approved by the select board, but we want to make sure that you've seen the changes and have given input. The select board moved their second meeting to next week. Their second meeting in November to next week to avoid the Thanksgiving week. So that gives us about a week. Yeah, so I don't, if anyone has any other questions about the process, and then I can move to job description. Okay. So we always review job descriptions when there's a vacancy, especially when we have someone as long serving as Alma. We want to make sure that it reflects sort of all the current work that she was doing. So as an example, her job description was last updated in 2012. So it's been a while. One of the things we also do is we look at the other similar jobs to see if there's responsibilities that we want to make sure to highlight in the job description. So one of the things I would say just in general about Alma's position is that executive director is a very strange title for that type of position. It just really doesn't capture what the position is. So senior center director might be, I think that's kind of how we refer to her in the past. But one of the things that we also do is we look at sort of other needs or other documents. So when we look at the senior needs assessment and we kind of look at the need for us to support our seniors and ways that we can sort of collaborate with other departments to do that, what we're proposing is the title of Senior and Social Services Director. And I'm going to pass these out so you can start to look at them.
I got a question. Where did the word executive creep in there in the first place? Seems so weird.
It seems odd, yeah. I don't know. It was
Okay, anyway.
historically what
Thank
it
you.
was. Do you want to?
It probably was many years ago.
Well, yeah, but
There are at present 5 positions open. In that
COA. So this first one that I'm giving you it's Alma's job description, and the red is all the changes. And the second page looks like a lot of changes, but some of it is just to sort of clarify. And then I'm also going to give you a clean copy just because it's easier to look at. So I'm just going to walk through some of the changes. So, okay, so this said reports to Council on Aging, but we changed the charter, so it's actually, this was reported to the town manager for years, so that never got updated, but that's just how the charter is written. Currently, the job code is an S6, and that job code is what tells us where on the salary schedule this position falls. I will tell you that when this was updated in 2018, and since then, the other positions that were S6 have been moved to S7 and that's specifically the recreation director, because the scope of responsibility has increased. So we were proposing that we actually increase the scope of responsibility for this position and move it to an S7. And the scope that I'm talking about is this position would be fully responsible for everything that Alma did, would still have their offices in this building or whatever building the senior center is in, but would also have responsibility for not necessarily providing veteran services, but a responsibility for coordination with the Veteran Services Department. Because I think we've heard a lot about the need for that. And right now we have a veterans district. Kim sits on that board. That wouldn't change. That would all be the same. It would really just be creating a job responsibility that has more specific, focused coordination of those services. The other thing that we wanted to add in the scope of this position is is really coordination with youth and family services. So I know that by title it sounds like that doesn't fit, but you probably all know that we don't have that full staff anymore. We have a contract to provide clinical services to anyone who needs those types of services. And one of the things that they've done in other communities and want to do here is just make sure that they're a better resource for seniors. So they would have the management of that contract. So that's what we wanted to add to this. And then also would work with, you all know Julia O'Neill Welch.
Yeah.
So she does outreach for that department. And she collaborates with Stephanie a lot already. So she would also be part of this. So again, everything would stay the same for senior center, but there would be those added scope of responsibility that would push this position up to an S7, and I think would achieve the goal that was noted in the senior needs assessment, which was better collaboration and coordination of service.
How much is this? What is the pay?
That's a good question.
You can't
I can
say?
pull it up.
No, I can say, I just can't remember.
I'll pull it up.
Kim's gonna pull it up.
Thank you.
Is it a range based on experience?
It's a range, yeah. Yep.
Could you also do the S6, just to,
Yep.
for the reference?
So while Kim's pulling that up, let me just give you a few minutes to read through this. 'Cause I think
Okay, so this is the,
some of the stuff that's crossed out is just put in better wording in another spot.
So you actually have to put in a driver's license.
We have it in most of
That
our
kind
job
of intrigued me.
descriptions. Yeah.
Ridiculous. It doesn't describe what the job is.
Yeah, I'll send you.
This doesn't really describe what the job is. It's a lot of coordinate this, coordinate that, but that's about managing the senior center and the activities of the people for the seniors. Where's that?
So that is,
Should be near the top, it seems.
yeah, it's right in the summary section.
Oh, you have to wait till it's done.
No, it's at the top. It's at the top.
it's right here.
Oh,
And then-
this one.
That's
I was
the-
looking at this one.
Oh, well, either one.
Either one.
They're the,
I'm sorry.
that's okay. The red one's hard to follow. But the summary section talks about the senior center, and then the very first responsibility under essential duties and responsibilities says administers, directs, and coordinates activities of the Westborough Council on Aging and Senior Center, develops plans and policies and procedures for establishment and maintenance of senior services. Yep.
So all of this second page, that's all new? All this red?
So sort of, like here, like an example towards the bottom, it says, it's crossed out, but it says administers the town's senior property tax work program, and then it says assists with fuel assistance applications. So those are crossed out, but that's because they're in a different section.
Right above.
Yeah.
Christie, there's 15 employees?
So that includes part-time and full-time, and we increased it by 1 because we would be adding that position in the youth and family services.
You always put in a number, or what if that changes?
We update the job description if it
Every
changes.
5 years? Or in this case,
Yeah.
every 10 years?
Every 12 years.
Yes, every 12 years. No. Yeah, we update that number. So that is though why I crossed out the number of volunteers, because that changes, and I'm not sure that
Wouldn't it
that's.
just be easier to say directly supervises employees?
Well, so one of the things that puts it in the specific classifications is the number of employees it supervises. So we want to be clear about employees, but number of volunteers is not sort of as important because it shifts.
Depends how many you get.
Yeah, yeah.
You would say at least 15, and then you would have to change it.
Well, so yeah, so we have this whole matrix. So it's like, I don't know, 5 to 7 employees or 10 to what? I don't remember what it is, but I think when you're ready, Kim has the salary range.
So the current classification at the S6 level, the range is 77,272 to 104,260. The proposed classification at S7, the minimum of the range is 84,916, so 84,916, and the maximum is 114,660.
And that's for this fiscal year.
And that is the current fiscal year.
What is the range that these existing employees are?
They're at different ranges depending on the position, and
What level? S?
they're all N. Well, so the 3 full-time employees are all Ns because they're in a union, but they're all different ranges. Yeah.
So you would really take someone with a bachelor's degree, you really don't really want master's degree?
So I think that education and experience section, I think we have some flexibility, which I think is that if you have someone with a bachelor's, for example, that has 15 years of experience doing this work, we have the flexibility to take that person, because we always include any equivalent combination of education and experience. So if we have a real rock star candidate that doesn't meet every specific thing, we can take them. So.
Because 15 or 20 years experience in a position doesn't mean that they've been changing, improving, learning along the way.
Right, and I think we would need to ask questions to demonstrate that. Yeah, definitely.
Well, I can't apply for the job because I have to have basic understanding of geometry.
That eliminates a lot of us.
Yeah, algebra, I can still remember some algebra. Geometry, I got a B. That was very bad for me, a B.
We don't care.
That's funny.
What does the certification entail in 3 years? What is that?
I don't know much about the specifics, it's the MCOA.
It's so a lot of different department head level positions with their professional associations, there's a certification track. And so I think to what you were saying,
Like a renewal
You would just-
periodically? Like
yeah.
nursing needs educational
Right.
requirements every 2 years or something.
Right, and so this is really just a sort of commitment to training and professional development that we would want them to get, but we give them time to get it, even if they don't have it when we first meet them.
Certificates, licenses, and registration is, must have a valid driver's license. Is that listed twice?
Oh, yeah, it is. You have to have two. No, I'm just kidding.
You have to have a CDL.
Yeah,
I think they want to remove one.
yeah, thank you.
I guess we're
So you don't
handling the senior center
Yes,
and
I think,
getting the calendar developed and out on time.
so they would, let me just, I know that it's in here somewhere,
No way to look for that.
the newsletter,
Yeah, I'd say yes.
yeah.
That's at
Oh, yeah, so, and this,
third
the second paragraph on page 2, if you're looking at the clean version, or the third if you're looking at the red one, it says manages the distribution of information to the community related to programs offered and resources identified through newsletter, website, social media, and other appropriate means of communication.
And do you not require any kind of criminal offender certification or background check?
So we would do a background check on whoever we are making the offer to. I think what's listed in here is saying that they would be able to run them. They're on them, and that's something, because Alma ran the quarries for people here, and that's something that we just can designate as a municipality. So it's not something that someone would come to us having some particular expertise or anything to
No,
be able
I
to
mean
run
in
them.
terms of the applicant.
The applicant, we would do a full background check on. Yes.
Does that say that somewhere?
It doesn't. It would say that. Oh, does it?
No, we don't.
Yeah, it doesn't. We don't include it in the job description, but we would
But
put
you
it.
do it.
Yeah, we absolutely do it. We do it with the police department.
Because I see something was crossed off.
Yeah.
Kind
So.
of referring.
So I think I don't know if this is a sort of a leftover, but I think what that was saying is that that you have to be able to run quarries.
Oh, okay.
And we can do that as a town, and we can add people to
But
do
so
that.
long as you do the background.
100%. Yes, definitely.
Background check is standard for any employee. It's standard.
We run quarries for our employees, and then for some certain positions we have the police do a full background check, and this would be one of those positions.
Christie, under physical demands, the second paragraph, what is that? What's the background of that?
We have very standard language across our job descriptions, and so that's where that comes from.
It's related to if somebody were to request an accommodation through the Americans with Disabilities Act, we need to have clear statements of what is required
Yeah.
from a physicality standpoint.
Okay.
And then from that, a basis of whether or not.
I've never read that, and it's just that you're required to talk or hear.
Yep.
You're required to sit,
Yep.
stand, walk,
So,
and stoop.
so somebody
kneel.
could need an accommodation related to sight, to vision or hearing impairment, might need a special accommodation, a standing desk,
Okay.
things like that.
Okay.
So,
And then lifting 25 pounds? Okay. I'm just curious, I'm
No,
just
no,
curious.
it's fine.
You know, I've never seen that in any description.
Yeah, that's
What?
interesting.
That kind of, for this type of position, if you're applying for an airline or airport, you have to be able to lift X number of
I
pounds.
think for this,
Mostly any.
I thought that's why we had a maintenance.
well, for this specific job, you need to be able to move things around. So that's where that comes from. But all of our job descriptions say
Not that.
how much you need to be able to lift.
Okay,
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
I've never seen this.
all right.
All right, interesting.
So I think probably in addition to sort of just making the language a little more kind of a modern job description and changing the title, the biggest differences are that added scope of responsibility, coordinating with the Veterans Department, and then also managing the contract for the clinicians, the clinical services, and working with, and having Julia, or the additional outreach position report into this position.
Is there anyone else in family services? That's it, just you?
Just Julia, yeah, because the rest of it is that contract, yeah.
Do you consider instructors and presenters as vendors?
Yes,
So vendor is an all-encompassing term?
yes, yep.
I thought vendors were usually people who were selling their services, buying their services, but a presenter could just be somebody giving a program.
What, can you just point me to what you're looking at so I can,
It's the second to last paragraph.
on the first page?
Contracting with vendors is in red, and the part before instructors and presenters is crossed off.
Marilyn, I'm having difficulty hearing both of you. Would you please repeat your
I
question?
had difficulty hearing Diane. Must be the room. I asked about the second to last paragraph where it refers to vendors on the first page.
Okay.
So it says, collaborates with the Recreation Department and other departments to plan and coordinate educational programs, recreational opportunities, social events and trips, including scheduling activities and contracting with vendors.
Oh, so educational programs would be included under instructors and presenters that were crossed off. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so just scheduling activities would be included.
Okay.
Yeah.
Contracting includes interviewing, evaluating.
Let me start this. Let me read this. This is the most detailed.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Can't hear a word.
I can hear you.
Can't hear you at all, Linda. We need a microphone here.
I don't think everybody on the council understands or recognizes the full scope of Alma's responsibilities. And I think this clearly defines it. The other thing is that so much of what she did, the knowledge that she carried in her head was confidential. We didn't need to know who did this or what. We were supportive of her to the fact that she took care of the situation. She kept us informed, waiting for the state to tell her what kind of funding would be available for heating seniors that needed it. Once she got that number, she then said, that means that I can now appropriate X number of dollars to the X number of candidates that have applied for it. And that, in my opinion, is all we needed to know. That somebody in need is being helped. We don't need names, addresses, phone numbers, any of that. And I would be probably the first one to knock on your door and say, this information is being given out.
Yeah, it should not be given.
Right, exactly. So I think this is a very excellent clarification of her role and in supporting this position, our responsibility, our
Great.
role in this effort.
I also like to,
In regard to her comment about confidentiality,
Diane?
it didn't jump out at me.
She's asking where
In
it
regard
talks
to
about.
confidential information, it didn't jump out at me in this. detail.
What about it?
She's just wondering if it's in here.
Is there somewhere that it's been? Is that is an important point, is confidentiality.
We can add a statement in here. I think there's things that speak to it, but I think adding it is not a bad idea. So that's
Yeah,
fine.
in many situations, it's confidential.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Especially when you're supervising the
I
outreach.
should think
Yes.
most of the advisory functions require
Yeah, but
confidentiality.
we can certainly make that even clearer.
With other people.
One would hope that who's applying is used to confidentiality from experience in the jobs they've had.
Yes, but even though I went to Assumption, I don't assume that and everything.
No, that's fine. We can definitely have a statement about that.
It never hurts to remind anyway.
Nope.
Yeah.
In this section of these other kinds of.
Obligations, yeah, that's a good idea.
I was gonna say, I kind of like the idea of joining the two
great.
jobs into this bigger job. It seems to make sense because they do interrelate a lot.
Yeah.
With the families, we actually support, part of the Council on Aging duty is not only support the senior, but their families in helping their seniors as well. So all this, really, these services do intermix a lot.
Oh, great.
Chrissy, is there a director of veteran services or youth and family services?
No,
Okay, so.
Not currently.
So this would fill that gap,
Yeah.
You've never had a director of youth services? or-
we did. But
Oh.
starting on July 1st, we changed the delivery service model, and all of the clinical services are provided under a contract.
Yes.
And then we have this one outreach position that's just reporting up directly to Kim.
Okay.
And so I think this would give more focused attention really to this position and supporting that position. So
Okay.
Were you saying then you don't have a director of veterans?
we don't
Do
because
you plan to?
no, because we're part of a district and we have been since I think 2012 maybe.
So there is
There aren't that many
somebody,
veterans anymore anyway.
Well, we have a whole district that we have a district, so we are in a district with Northborough.
I know it's tiny.
you're quiet, it's the wheels that are.
So we're in a district with Westborough, Northborough, Grafton, and Shrewsbury.
Oh.
And so we do have a director of that district.
I thought that because
Yes,
they're gonna
sorry.
elect it.
Yes, yeah, and we have the Veterans Advisory
I
Board.
thought so.
Yeah, yeah. We just don't have
Our own
Westborough.
Westborough
Right,
director.
exactly.
Okay, now I knew that they were active.
Yes.
Didn't know how it functioned.
Yeah,
They're like the chairman of the advisory board, is
Yes.
that how they're organized? So
yeah.
that's who coordinates it.
If you don't have any more questions, I don't know if you want to have a motion to determine the 3 people that would serve on that. You don't have to do it now because we haven't posted it yet, but it's up to you.
If you post it by the end of this month, what happens when you get people who are interested in applying? They're just told that it will be in January, or how is that going to work?
I think by the time we move through that process, it would be January anyway.
Would the posting go include an end date kind of thing? I think it's.
We usually keep it open until filled, just because, so under our personnel policies, we require them to be up for 2 weeks, but that's not really enough time for this. So we'll post it probably open until filled, but
Oh,
we'll
I
start
see.
reviewing the resumes pretty
As they come in.
immediately, yeah. Yeah.
So all you want from us now is maybe some questions on my email or?
You can, so if you want to tell us, so there's 3 things I need. The first is any questions that you want us to ask, which you can send those to us separately. Any attributes that you want the new director to have. And then the third is the names of 3 people on the council to be part of the interview process. And you can decide that in December if you want to think more about it. The only thing I would say is if you're very, very busy, it's probably not the right role for you because we have to coordinate the interviews. We don't know how many candidates we're gonna get. But if you feel like you'll have time, in December, then that would be great. It would only be a couple meetings. It's just trying to coordinate everybody is tough. So.
Do you coordinate time meetings according to the respondents, or is it according to you guys? Do you have regular times or days that you
No, it's really
decide for this?
it's
How does
really
it work?
it's really according to the response. So if we get a lot of resumes in the first 3 weeks, then we might try to interview like within the next week after that. So that's probably Christmas time, but yeah. So it really just depends on the response.
But do you usually do it daytime, afternoon,
We like to do it
nighttime?
We like to do it daytime. Yeah.
Just curious.
Yeah.
Christy, what's the likelihood that candidates will come from outside Massachusetts?
It's hard to say. A lot of the places where we post, I think, mostly attracts Massachusetts candidates.
Okay.
We occasionally get from the New England region.
Yeah. The reason I ask is because I was wondering if moving expenses is part of the package.
No, it's not.
Well, take care of that. Do you have a sense?
Where
of-
we've had where we've had applicants from outside the area, it's typically people who are looking to get back here
Okay.
and might be actively seeking.
Do you have a sense of the what the applicants that you think will make sense? What they're doing now for a living?
Well, I think that we expect some applicants to be current senior center directors.
Okay. Good.
Westborough is a pretty desirable community. I think sort of some people might find it exciting to expand the scope a little bit. Some people might find it exciting that we're talking about a new senior center. So I think that we will get, I would expect to get some applicants that are current directors, but we'll see.
Sometimes you get, if they're larger communities, they have an assistant director position.
Yeah.
Are there any requirements that a person lives in town?
No.
Were you able to look at job descriptions for other towns?
Yes.
Okay, so we know that we're kind of in the same
Yeah.
ballpark. Okay.
Yeah. That's where we got that title.
Okay.
Too.
And the salary range,
Yep. Yeah, and
directors of the same scope.
yeah, I think we feel good about that, but also, if you remember at the October town meeting, there was a warrant article to fund a salary study for the non-union positions. So this position is included in that. So if we were finding that we weren't getting a good response, we would probably also, the results of that study, it's all sort of happening at the same time.
If there were people outside Massachusetts, would they have to know anything about Massachusetts government or how we function here?
I mean, there would be a learning curve, definitely, yeah. But, we would have to just meet them and see if we thought they were, up for that, I guess.
Christy, moving forward, I would like, unless you feel it's not advisable at this time, to present a motion to select 3 members from the Council of Aging to serve as members of the interview process.
That's it, yep. That's great.
How do you want to do that?
Before the motion, then I'll start by saying I have a number of other commitments already, so rule me out.
But I need somebody to second the motion.
Second.
Well, I was saying before the motion is
Yeah.
I wanted
You'll want
to
to
put that on the table.
name the 3 people in your
You need to-
motion.
Yeah, your motion.
Oh, I need to name them.
Yeah, we'll want to name them.
Don't you want people to volunteer? I mean, if you
So that-
Yeah, so have,
Yeah,
we can
that's
have
why
a
he's
discussion.
backing out.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
And then anyone else wants to either back in or back out, now's
Yeah.
the
Well, it
time.
would be helpful, I think, to know who cannot do it, like I cannot do it. So,
Okay,
Oh, I definitely am interested.
all righty. May I make a note? John, you say you cannot.
that's correct.
you know.
I don't think I can.
That's,
I'd love to, but I can't.
Kind of narrow it down. Bob? Are you interested?
I won't say I'm interested, but I'm not buried with work. So I'm neutral. I guess I'm not. I'm not
Neutral.
Not interested.
I'm interested. Are you waiting for me? I think we've got a quorum over here.
I'm interested.
okay, do we need to discuss the qualifications that we have, that we were willing to, I've done this in other positions. I don't know if that makes any difference or not.
Qualifications for what? For the people that are going to sit in on these interviews?
The hiring, I've done it, been there, done that.
I've done that too.
All right, then the three of you, I'll back
I
up.
don't know.
Why?
You have to keep taking
What do you
minutes.
want to do? Diane wants to do it.
It's not a public body.
Diane, you're saying you want to?
We don't have to take minutes.
For this? No. Or for
this,
the,
yeah.
for the interviews? No.
No.
No. It's not a public body.
Diane, did you say you want to?
I said I've done it before, like Linda.
But do you want to?
What if I don't have other minutes to do?
Okay, so it sounds like you have
Sounds like you got at
five who
least-
are interested.
yeah,
Okay.
5 people.
Who are the 5 people?
So, well, I don't know, I just sort
Three
of,
of you,
Four.
Linda, and
Who are the
Diane.
5?
yeah, that's the three of you.
Are you interested? I didn't know if you were, or if you
Yeah.
said.
Oh, I thought you said you,
Linda,
I know, but then you should be the boss.
No, I want to be fair about this, but I would be very interested in sitting in this discussion.
My whole career has been in corporate.
I can't.
My whole career, professional career has been in corporate. And I had a position that required me to interview. I was a department head. So I'm very familiar with interviewing and the importance of always presenting the same questions to the person that's interviewing. And I'd much rather be interviewing than be the interviewee. Just thought I'd throw that in.
so you are interested.
Oh, definitely, yes.
I'm gonna back out, be the four of you.
So
No, there's only 3.
No, Diane said she wants to do it.
No, she's on the fence, she said, as long as she doesn't have to have 3 minutes.
You know what we could do is if you,
We don't have to decide now, we're just throwing.
you don't have to, but just to give you more to think about. You could have someone just sit in on the second round of interviews. So you would just sort of change.
We could split it.
So you maybe have 3 that sit in on the first round, and then you have maybe 1 sit in on the second round. So the second round you wouldn't see everybody. You would only see sort of whoever rose out of the first round.
That's a good idea.
If you want to do that.
I like that.
That's a good idea.
Sometimes first impression, you know right away, whatever that means.
Yes.
All right.
So, yeah.
So how do we do this?
Okay, Christie, name the motion.
Well, so you could say to have, I'm not going to name the names because I don't know who you would do, but name 3 people to serve on the screening committee, and then name 1 person to serve on the second round of interview panel.
I'm not sure one person is enough on
Or
the.
2.
You mean with 2 people?
Sorry,
Just
yeah, so
one
do
new
3
one plus
and then 2. No, you can't, not everybody. So
So the-
3
so-
would just do the screening, and then 2 would do the second round.
Or should we do, if there's 4 people that are definitely interested, how
So
about 2
it'd
and
be
2?
2 of the 3 people
Yes.
or
No.
2 other.
So 5. So I was trying to get all 5 of you in it.
Oh, I see.
Three and the
So
That's fine.
So she's
And the
trying to
first
divide it up.
Yeah, so 3 on the first level of screening, and then 2 on the second level, and then you wouldn't have to be available for as many if you wanted to do that. You also don't have to do it that way.
Christie, I thought there was just 4 now.
Is there just 4? Oh, I didn't cross anybody off.
I mean,
Are you in or out, Marilyn?
If Diane wants it, then I'm gonna be out.
so then it would be Diane and Linda and Paula and myself, so there's 4.
So once you're the other
Four,
person,
we need to- But
it's like who's on
I
first?
have other people here that have served on the council longer. I don't know if that comes into play either.
Well, ultimately, the entire council has to vote the concurrence. So ultimately, all of you get a say, because if I bring someone forward, which I would do with these committees we're talking about, but if we bring someone forward that the council does not like, then you don't have to vote for that person. So everyone gets a say at some point in this process.
What do you mean when you say bring someone forward? Do we get to talk to the person and ask questions, or you're just telling us how the interviews went?
Well, I would bring them, you would meet them, we would ask you could ask some questions, and then you
Would
would,
we already know how they had answered the interview questions?
wait, well, we would have appointed, so I would have said, this is the person that I think is the best, working with all of these other people, and then you all could ask a few questions.
So moving forward, Diane, Linda, Paula to serve as the first
So
three.
screening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Going forward, it would be Linda,
And for the second
The
screening?
second one.
Yeah. I was gonna suggest, maybe if we're doing 4 people then? If we're gonna suggest doing 4 people from the COA, 4 names, I was going to suggest maybe we do 2 for the first screening and 2 for the second screening. Because I think it's nice to have someone else between the 2 of us, or the 2 COA people, to discuss. Maybe one caught something that the other one didn't catch. So just a suggestion. I think it would be a good idea if we're going to go with 4 to do 2 and 2.
Okay, this 5.
This 5.
The
No, Marilyn said she's
motion is
out.
on the table
Well, it
right
depends how
now.
it's configured.
Three
Right, if it's 3 and
members
2.
from the Council on Aging to serve. And then when Christie comes up, then we 3 will step aside and 2 more will be appointed.
If there's 5.
If there's 5.
Yes, that's fine, 3 and
That's
2. If there's 4, I'm suggesting 2 and 2.
Right, but this 5.
Well, if you have 3 in the first, then I would be
Perfect.
included in the second.
Okay, perfect. Yep.
But the motion is on, do I need to change the motion?
There was no motion yet.
There is the motion on
Yeah,
the
she made the
She made
motion.
the motion.
table.
So-
Do you want me to repeat
Can
it,
you
Linda?
repeat it?
I captured, and tell me if I captured it correctly. So move to appoint Diane, Linda, and Paula to serve on the screening committee, and Marilyn and Martha to participate on the second round interview.
Oh, I didn't think she
Yeah.
included. It's hard to hear.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All those in favor, may I see it show of hands?
There was a prior motion that we made that I think we
Any
discarded.
opposed?
It's never second.
Okay, then the motion stands.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Great.
do we have to also approve this, at least give our,
You could make a motion to recommend this to the select board, and they'll vote on it next week. And you could do it, you could recommend it with the statement about confidentiality being added.
I'll make that motion that we recommend that the changes made here, along with the additional change on confidentiality, be recommended as the description for this position.
Second that.
Absolutely second that.
All good?
All,
You say I see on movies. Aye.
may I have a show
Aye,
of
aye.
hands for all in favor? Is there
Aye, aye.
anybody opposed? The motion stands. Thank you.
Good job on doing this, because that was a lot.
Yeah, that is.
I had the original one from
Did you get that one, Kim?
the packet.
Oh, you did?
Became, get on that.
Yes, you do the first one. Christie, you just the typo where you have the
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, well, we've had
that
a
doesn't
couple
have to
of
be, that
typos.
doesn't have to be a
We'll
motion,
clean it
right?
up.
Yeah.
That's, you're recommending it, so the select board definitely would have said it too, so we'll
Okay.
take it off. Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll have another meeting.
So I think your next meeting will just be your regular December meeting, right?
December 9th.
Okay, yep. And then Kim she actually was working out of here earlier this morning, so she'll help you with the agenda, and go from there. And we'll hopefully be able to give you an update at the December meeting.
What's the date of the December meeting?
9th.
9th.
No, thank you.
Second Monday.
It's engraved in my brain.
I just looked it up.
It's engraved in my brain. Next meeting, December 9th.
It looks like, yeah, like,
Oh, okay.
I don't have anything else, but no, I don't have anything. Oh,
That was the only
actually,
thing,
I think we're all set.
Actually, I had a
motion
side,
to adjourn
Oh,
the
wait,
meeting.
I think, hold on.
I had a side thing. What are we doing? I know they worked on the senior scene for December. So what is the status of that? Who's,
Staff are working to
Doing
finalize that, so it'll be out.
so it can get out
Yep,
ahead of time before?
staff are working to get.
We just never know, Diane, with the mail if that sometimes they get it in
Well,
ahead
sometimes
of
it's the
time and it
printer,
doesn't
but-
get there.
Somebody needs to get the word out.
Yeah, I just wanted to circle back too. So we had talked about the board secretary position. So we have a general board secretary job description that we have posted as we have had vacancies for a variety of boards. And there was a period of time, I don't have the exact dates that it was posted and pulled down. But it was literally for more than a year, I think closer to 2, that we did not attract any applicants. We recently have, so we talked about reposting that, but we've also had another recruitment for a full-time administrative position, and there was a candidate who wasn't selected for the full-time role that we're reaching out to see if this might be a possibility. But there are other individuals that I have contacted to see if they can fill the need for this position. Given that it's typically recorded and that it's 1 meeting a month, it is something that someone could potentially do remotely. So there's someone I'm pursuing for that as well. But we are actively looking to see if we can identify some of the stuff.
Goodness.
Since Linda made the job offer to Alma, she said no.
yeah. That was it.
I couldn't, Lisa.
That was funny. That was funny.
It was funny.
Can I do, this is not having anything to do really with this meeting, but there's a senior needs assessment that was done, I guess, in 23.
Yes.
And it's like a lot of pages.
Yes.
Is there, I just don't want to use up my paper or my printer. I was just wondering, is there a copy I can get somewhere?
I can get you one.
It's posted online as well, but if you wanted it in
I know,
paper, okay.
yeah, I just don't want to use up, it's a lot of pages.
Yeah, well, and there's also the implementation plan
Yes.
that you'll want to,
So can I get a copy if I go to town hall?
yes.
And who do I see?
Or you can just come to our office and we'll have it ready for
I've
you.
never seen your office. I think I should take a field.
What's that?
I've never been to your office. I should just go.
Yes, you should come.
Yeah, candy and candy.
I was going to say, I don't have snacks, but
Okay, I'll still go though.
you'll still go, okay.
You can bring the candy.
I'll take some from my
I'm
kids'
gonna have to bring
Halloween
the candy, I know.
baskets.
Okay.
All right.
Guido, I believe you made a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Any other questions or comments that need to be made at this time? Okay.
Second and third.
Third. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Kim, I don't think I have